Today, we got a G project. Don't have what's called a DC to DC charger. These lithium batteries have the potential to destroy the alternator in the truck. And the G project we're doing today is we're installing one of these bad boys known as a battery to battery charger. I've got 6-gauge wire that I'm going to run from the starter battery on the truck, and we'll get into that once we're doing that part. We're going to run it all the way back to the bed of the truck. I'm going to put in what's called an Anderson connector in the truck, and then in the front I'm also going to put a fuse in on the positive side. Now, to help me along the way, I have a couple tools that I'll be using: a drill, a wire cutter to cut. In this case, this is 6-gauge wire that I'm using. Again, ordered that off of Amazon. And then I have a hydraulic crimping tool.
Can I just tell you how happy he was to be able to order a hydraulic crimping tool?
Well, I've seen other people do it without the hydraulics, and they use the hammer and crush method. It didn't look like the only thing, or I should say, the only thing that looked like was getting crushed were hands and potentially other body parts. So for the extra, I thought I'd get the hydraulic one. And then, of course, the reason I have that is these are the end clips that go onto the different terminals, and then the shrink wrap wire rubber things that protect them as well. I also have zip ties. This, next to duct tape, is man's best friend. And what else?
What's in the big, looks like a hose?
This one, this will actually protect. It's a sheathing, or what they call a wire loom. This will go inside of here, the wire will go inside of here, and that'll protect it as it runs underneath the truck. What I've decided to do is I'm going to be doing it on the driver's side, but I'm going to be hooking up to the starter battery. Now, this truck has 2 batteries. It has a battery on the left side and it has a battery on the right side. So the passenger side is the starter battery. So that's the one I'm going to hook into. And then I'm going to feed it from there all the way back underneath the truck and then up into the bed of the truck. And then that's where I'll put in the Anderson connection. So we'll get started with that and come along as I have fun doing the G project for the day. I'm going to drill a hole right through here. This is actually a plastic plug hole, or for a plug for a hole here. This tube here is for the tonneau cover. This particular tonneau cover has a rain draining system, so they've already drilled a hole in for that to have it go outside. And so I'm going to start here by drilling the hole through here, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to run the wire starting there and then underneath and then up to the along the frame rail and then up to the engine compartment to the battery. Ended up buying a 50-foot spool of this 6-gauge wire, and the reason being is I also have to put a connection into our RV to hook up to the batteries. So I figured roughly it was going to be about 27 feet for the truck and about 20 feet for the RV, and so I ended up getting a 50-foot roll. And what I'm doing right now is just getting a rough idea how much I'm going to need to run it to the truck. And what I'm going to end up doing is coming up through here and then coming across here and then hooking up to the battery. Wire in through there. The next part is going to be getting underneath and pulling the wire down and pulling the wire through. And then what will happen is I'll end up putting it up underneath here. There's clips underneath here that I'll be able to tie into, and I'll just use some zip ties and tie it up underneath the rail here. So it'll be out of the way.
At least it's shady under the truck.
Yeah, the fun part is getting there. So as you can see, I've got the wire through. Just gonna pull it. Now I'm debating where I'm gonna run this. The thing to take into consideration too is that between the bed and the cab, this will be flexing. The wire loom should protect it, but for now I'm just going to keep pulling the amount of wire that I need through, and then we'll start feeding it all the way to the front of the truck. And again, I'm going to use this wire as the support for it. Now is I'm going to go underneath and I'm going to run this up into the engine compartment. Oh, we have success. Here comes the wire. The wire comes up from under there. I'll run it underneath this protection cover for the radiator. Again, keep running it through here. I may or may not encase this in the wire loom. We'll see at this point. So I should have enough. So what'll happen now is I'll put that fuse that I showed, I'll split this wire apart, I'll hook up to the battery here, and then I'll hook the negative up to this part here, and then that'll take care of the hooking up to the battery here. And again, now that I've got this roughed in, I'm going to end up cutting about here. That's going to leave me with about 14 feet, and then I'll take this and I'll take it over to the fifth wheel and wire up the fifth wheel. Run it from here, so it'll come down here and plug into the truck, and then I'm going to wire it all the way through here, and then I'll open up the compartment here and have the wire end up down here hooking up to the batteries. We have success after a little bit of fun. Wire here, DC to DC charger, wire here hooks up to the truck.
So next time we see this, it'll all be hooked up?
That is the plan.
And we won't say that it took like a day to get this done, because it was a process.
No, there was a few things involved in fishing it through and all that, but it's all done.
Okay, so we'll check in once it's done, then we can leave. The road is calling and we must go.
Yeah, I hear it.
So the DC to DC charger and the generator are going to be done on the road.